You are not lazy. You're not weak. Your brain is overstimulated. Right now, your dopamine system is being hijacked by algorithms designed to keep you scrolling, clicking, and consuming without ever feeling satisfied. You wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep. You start working but can't focus for more than 10 minutes. You tell yourself you'll watch just one video, and suddenly 2 hours have passed. This is not a lack of discipline. This is neurological warfare, and most people don't even realize they're losing the battle. Marcus Aurelius lived 2,000 years ago without smartphones, without social media, without any of the digital distractions that dominate our lives today. Yet he understood the human mind better than most modern psychologists. He knew that mental freedom doesn't come from external conditions, but from internal discipline. The Stoics mastered something we've forgotten in the age of instant gratification: the ability to exist without constant stimulation. If you want to regain control over your mind and your habits, subscribe to this channel, because this is not motivation, this is mental discipline. Here are 5 Stoic principles from Marcus Aurelius that will teach you how to do a real dopamine detox, not just for a weekend challenge, but as a complete mental reprogramming. Tip 1. Remove the need for constant pleasure. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that we should not seek pleasure for its own sake. And this might sound counterintuitive in a world that tells you to follow your bliss and chase what makes you happy. But the Stoics understood something profound about human nature. When you make pleasure the goal of your existence, you become a slave to it. Your brain starts requiring constant hits of dopamine just to feel normal. And when you don't get them, you experience withdrawal symptoms that feel exactly like anxiety, restlessness, and dissatisfaction. The modern brain is trapped in a cycle where it constantly seeks pleasure, avoids effort, and runs away from boredom as if it were a threat to survival. Every notification, every autoplay video, every infinite scroll is engineered to deliver microdoses of dopamine that keep you coming back for more. The problem is not that pleasure exists. The problem is that you've become dependent on it. Stoicism teaches soberness of mind and mastery over desire, not through suppression, but through the refusal to be controlled by what feels good in the moment. The practical application here is simple but difficult. You need to actively remove the sources of compulsive pleasure from your environment. Delete the apps that give you nothing but empty stimulation. Turn off every notification that doesn't serve a real purpose. Reintroduce silence into your life. Embrace boredom as a mental reset, and allow yourself to move slowly through tasks without needing constant entertainment. When you stop requiring pleasure just to exist, you reclaim authority over your own attention. Dopamine detox starts the moment pleasure stops being a requirement for you to function. Tip 2. Train your mind to stay with discomfort. Marcus Aurelius said that if something is endurable, then you must endure it. And this is one of the most misunderstood principles of Stoicism. People think Stoics were emotionless robots who didn't feel pain, but that's completely wrong. The Stoics felt everything. They just refused to be controlled by what they felt. They trained themselves to sit with discomfort instead of immediately reaching for something to make it go away. Dopamine consumption is fundamentally an avoidance mechanism. You consume content not because you're bored, but because you're avoiding something uncomfortable. Maybe it's the friction of starting a difficult task. Maybe it's the uncertainty of not knowing what to do next. Maybe it's just the silence of your own thoughts. Whatever it is, your brain has learned that scrolling, clicking, or binge-watching will temporarily anesthetize the discomfort, so it keeps reaching for the digital painkiller. The Stoic principle here is that all real progress happens through friction, through resistance, through the willingness to endure what is difficult without running away from it. When you train your mind to stay with discomfort, you're literally rewiring your dopamine circuits. You're teaching your brain that it doesn't need constant stimulation to survive, and that creates a profound shift in how you experience reality. Start small, but be consistent. Work for 30 minutes without music, without podcasts, without anything playing in the background. Read a book without checking your phone every 5 minutes. Go for a walk without earbuds, without distractions, just you and your thoughts. This will feel incredibly uncomfortable at first because your brain is used to constant input, but that discomfort is exactly what you need to experience. The ability to sit with friction without seeking escape is the foundation of mental strength. When you can endure boredom without needing to fill it, you have reclaimed control over your dopamine system. Tip 3. Reduce external stimulation to regain internal control. Marcus Aurelius spent much of his life seeking what he called the inner citadel, a state of mental calm that could not be disturbed by external events. He wasn't looking for more stimulation, more excitement, or more things to capture his attention. He was looking for clarity, and clarity only comes when you reduce the noise. The modern world is designed to overwhelm you with external stimulation. There's too much information, too many opinions, too many choices, too many voices telling you what to think and how to feel. This constant bombardment of input weakens your internal authority because you stop listening to yourself and start reacting to everything around you. External noise doesn't just distract you, it fragments your sense of self. A dopamine detox is not just about avoiding screens. It's about creating an environment where your mind can function without being pulled in 1,000 directions. Simplify your physical space. Remove clutter, reduce visual noise, and create a setup that supports focus instead of distraction. Simplify your routine so that you're not constantly making trivial decisions that drain your willpower. When you reduce the number of choices you have to make, you free up mental bandwidth for what actually matters. Here's what most people don't realize. When the external noise decreases, the internal patterns start to surface. You begin to notice the subconscious loops that have been running in the background, the automatic thoughts and behaviors that were invisible when your mind was constantly occupied. This is where real change becomes possible, not because you're forcing yourself to be different, but because you're finally aware of what's been controlling you all along. A dopamine detox isn't just about removing stimuli. It's about reprogramming the patterns that crave stimulation in the first place. That's why tools working at the subconscious level are so powerful, and you'll find the Subconscious Millionaire System linked below if you want to go deeper into that kind of mental reprogramming. Tip 4. Focus on what you control, ignore the rest. One of the most famous lines from Marcus Aurelius is that you have power over your mind, not outside events. And this is the ultimate antidote to dopamine addiction. When you scroll endlessly through content, you are outsourcing your attention to algorithms and other people's agendas. You are consuming information about things you have zero control over while ignoring the things you actually can change. Dopamine-driven behavior is a form of false productivity. You feel like you're doing something because your eyes are moving and your thumb is swiping, but in reality, you're just occupying your mind with noise so you don't have to confront what actually needs your attention. The Stoics understood that most of what we worry about, most of what we consume, and most of what we react to is completely outside our sphere of influence, and wasting energy on it is a form of self-sabotage. The application here is ruthless prioritization. At any given moment, ask yourself if what you're doing right now is something you can actually control. If you're scrolling through news you can't change, opinions you didn't ask for, or drama that doesn't involve you, you're giving away your most valuable resource, which is your attention. A real dopamine detox requires you to focus on one task, one objective, one present moment at a time, and to eliminate everything else. Here's a practical exercise that will completely shift how you use your time. Choose one activity that matters to you, something that requires focus and effort, and commit to doing it with zero stimulation. No music, no background noise, no multitasking. Just you and the task. Stay with it, even when your mind wants to wander, even when you feel the urge to check your phone, even when boredom creeps in. This is how you rebuild discipline. This is how you develop respect for yourself. This is how you reclaim internal authority, by proving to yourself that you can control your attention even when your brain is begging for distraction. Tip 5. Build identity, not short-term pleasure. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Just be one, And this is the most powerful reframe you can make when it comes to dopamine and habit formation. Dopamine gives you a short-term hit that feels good in the moment, but leaves you exactly where you started. Identity, on the other hand, is built slowly through repeated actions that align with who you want to become. Every time you choose instant gratification over something meaningful, you are reinforcing a version of yourself that is reactive, impulsive, and controlled by external stimuli. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building a version of yourself that is intentional, focused, and in control of your own mind. The Stoics believed that character was not something you talk about. It was something you build through action, and every single choice you make is either strengthening or weakening the person you're becoming. This is where most people fail with dopamine detoxes. They treat it like a temporary challenge, something they do for a week to reset their brain, and then they go right back to the same habits that got them addicted in the first place. Real transformation doesn't happen through short-term willpower. It happens through long-term identity shift. You don't quit dopamine, you replace it with meaning. Here's the question you need to ask yourself every time you reach for your phone, every time you feel the urge to scroll, every time you're about to choose the easy option. Who am I becoming with this habit? If you keep making the choice you're about to make, what kind of person will you be in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years? Identity is built in the subconscious through repetition, and that's why it's so hard to change on the surface level. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if your subconscious programming is still wired for instant gratification, you will always default back to old patterns. This is why working at the subconscious level is not optional if you want lasting change. You have to reprogram the deep patterns that drive your behavior, not just manage the symptoms with willpower. When your identity shifts from someone who needs constant stimulation to someone who values focus, discipline, and mental clarity, the dopamine detox becomes effortless because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're just being who you are. Let's be honest about why most dopamine detoxes don't work. People go all in with extreme rules, cut out everything at once, and rely purely on motivation to get them through. The problem is that motivation is an emotion, and emotions fluctuate. When the initial excitement wears off, they're left with nothing but willpower, and willpower is a limited resource that runs out when you need it most. The Stoics didn't rely on motivation. They relied on systems and discipline. They built structure into their lives so that the right actions became automatic, not because they felt like doing them, but because they had designed their environment and their routines to support those actions. A dopamine detox is not about white-knuckling your way through withdrawal. It's about creating a life where you don't need constant hits of cheap dopamine, because you replaced it with something deeper and more meaningful. The other mistake people make is thinking that a dopamine detox means eliminating all pleasure, and that's not what Stoicism teaches. The Stoics enjoyed good food, good company, and moments of relaxation, but they didn't depend on those things to feel whole. They could experience pleasure without being controlled by it, and that's the real goal here. You don't quit dopamine, you change your relationship with it. You stop letting it dictate your behavior, and you start using it as a tool instead of being used by it. Let me summarize the 5 principles we just covered. First, remove the need for constant pleasure by refusing to make dopamine a requirement for your existence. Second, train your mind to stay with discomfort instead of running away from it every time something feels hard. Third, reduce external stimulation so you can regain internal control and clarity. Fourth, focus only on what you can control and ignore everything else, because most of what consumes your attention has nothing to do with your actual life. Fifth, build identity through repeated actions instead of chasing short-term pleasure, because identity is what lasts when motivation fades. Marcus Aurelius understood that a calm mind is a disciplined mind, and a disciplined mind is free. Freedom is not having more options, more content, or more things to consume. Freedom is having control over your own attention, your own thoughts, and your own actions. That's what a real dopamine detox gives you, not a temporary reset, but a complete shift in how you operate mentally. If you're serious about doing a real dopamine detox and rebuilding your focus from the inside out, Check the link below for the subconscious millionaire system because it's specifically designed to reprogram the subconscious habits that keep people addicted to stimulation. Like this video if it gave you value, drop a comment telling me what your biggest dopamine trigger is, and subscribe to this channel because we're building mental discipline here, not chasing motivation. I'll see you in the next one.